I thought instead of, shall we say, having a look at the craziness that was going on in local councils with all these Doge units being announced, certainly in this week, starting off with Kent, we've now got Lincolnshire saying that there's now being a Doge unit being set up. And it sounds like pretty much every other council where they have, control, there's a Doge unit coming. And it is at this point, we should really ask why. Why are Reform UK so obsessed with, first of all, Doge, trying to go after all this waste that's supposedly happening in councils? Um, you know, Hinting at the fact that there's, quote, fraud, even though they have no evidence that there is any fraud. And why on earth is this supposed tech entrepreneur, who again, yet to be named, is doing this for absolutely free? I mean, shouldn't we be questioning, for example, his motivation for doing this for absolutely free, right? And then we've got to look at the ideology of these Reform UK people, because they are not conservatives. They are hard right-wing libertarians who really do believe that the government should be providing nothing, that there should be no referees, there should be no regulations. The government should just get out of the way of the market. It should not be providing anything to anyone, because if you succeed, great, you should be making all the money in the world, regardless of how you make it in that regard. And if you fail, well, that is on you. You failed. You deserve to rot on the garbage pile of failure forever, and hang any of the social consequences, societal consequences, anything that goes with it. That's really what you're dealing with. And this is why they are launching now these Doge style units. So let's get more into this. And why Doge? So before we do go getting on into this, though, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the one today's link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button. And of course, as always, there's the YouTube membership, aka the Pony Club, that you can join as well. So do go on and join those and help support the channel that way. So thank you very much to those people who do that. And of course, now on to this. So, why Doge? Well, their whole point and reason for it, as we discussed yesterday and was sort of published in the Telegraph of all places, because, that's how you want to do it. Make it publicly known that you're trying to do all this. First of all, it's to make them look good, to look like, oh, look, your reform councillors are doing something, when in reality, as we've been covering, they're not at all, especially in Kent, where they have completely paralyzed the council and basically are doing nothing. Which, in a way, is good, but also incredibly bad, because that means that issues in your local area are then not being addressed by your your councillors, because it is up to them to address and bring issues to the forefront in this type of thing. So, that is bad. So even if they are doing nothing is just equally as bad as them actually doing something, in this case of Doge. But why have they been able to do this? Well, partly it is because faith in local government is at an all-time low. You think that faith in government is bad? No, you're talking about what goes on in Westminster. Local government is at an all-time low. This is why they managed to do so well at these local elections, because no one gets out and actually votes for them. The turnout for these elections is tiny. 30% was the national average. And if you look at some of the, the voting things, you were seeing 28, 29, 27, 25 in one area. These were very, very, very low turnouts. And that percentage basically was like 600 people. 700, 1,000 in one. So incredibly low voter turnouts. And they were able to get away with it because for a very, very, very long time, if you go onto your council website or any local news Facebook page that you know of, and I know you know the one that you're thinking about, and have a look at any news story where the council gets mentioned, and have a look at the comments because you know it, I know it. There's a lot of people claiming that, oh, councillor so and so's on the take, getting all those brown envelopes, you know, nice cushy job for councillor so, and basically insinuating that all your local councillors are like absolutely corrupt as they come. The reality is that that is not the case. Do these things happen every so often? Yes, but they are the rarity when these corruption cases happen. They are extremely rare, and I want to point out that they are very rare when they do happen. And they are so rare because the systems in place are there. The councils are regularly audited, both internally and externally. They go through numerous processes to do that. So this idea that they are seeking out waste, fraud, and abuse through these through these tech bro, auditors that are going to come in and have a look at all this because they're looking to make cuts. It I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what they recommend in this because it should be highly questioned that this supposed tech entrepreneur who is absolutely amazing, this turnaround CEO, is funding it all himself, which should be heavily questioned. And then what conclusions, what stuff is he going to end up saying should be cut? Because I have a very interesting feeling a lot of it is going to be useful services. And of course, remember, councils are legally obligated to provide these services. So they are going to come into such problems. And this and what goes on and what's happened now in Lincolnshire is an exact example of this. So we're just going to go Lincolnshire Live because, first of all, you have a reform councillor saying how good this is going to be. So Sean Matthews, the leader of the Lincolnshire Council, said about getting Doge, saying, "We're, of course, elected with a very clear mandate to cut waste. Getting now a fresh pair of eyes over the council books will help us to do exactly that and make sure that we are focusing spending on the things that residents care most about. This new audit will cost the local taxpayers absolutely nothing." Again, I question that. That this is going to cost local taxpayers absolutely nothing. Like, why is this guy doing this out of the kindness of his own heart? Audits are not cheap. Why is this guy doing this? What's his agenda? What's his motivation for doing this? What's his report going to say? You know, we'll probably find out in a couple of months, I suppose, on that one. The team will, of course, be led by experts of a leading tech entrepreneur. The sooner we start, the sooner that we will save money. Again, you're not going to save money because the Conservative leader, Councillor Richard Davis, questioned whether Doge would actually find much waste now within the council. He said Reform have already agreed that the council is well run, and about £400 million of savings have been made over the last 10 to 15 years. The most information about Lincolnshire County Council is, of course, in the public domain. Organisations like the Taxpayers Alliance go over it, and it has a regular internal and external audits. There may be things that the council does now that the leadership decides we shouldn't do anymore. There may be, of course, easy choices, or there may be difficult ones. Provided that this process is gone about sensibly, legally, and follows all the due process, it should avoid any potential pitfalls. I am very skeptical about this. I don't think it's going to be done sensibly. Legally, well, we'll wait and see what happens on there. I don't think it's going to be following any due process because, as you have the Conservative guy clearly said there, yeah, it does. You know, the councils do regular internal and external audits. most of the information is publicly available. Even this guy is quoting the Taxpayers Alliance. One of the big right wing, uh, you know, think tanks on that. What are they going to find? What are they hoping to find? I don't know. But I am incredibly skeptical about why this sudden tech entrepreneur would want to do this. Now, I have a feeling what's going to happen, and this is a prediction now. I have a feeling that this audit is going to be very, very biased. Very, very biased indeed. And I think what it is going to do, or what it intends to do, is have a go at the government legally responsibilities that councils are expected to do, and turn around and actually say the government should no longer say that councils are legally obligated to do that. I have a very strong feeling that this is all one big setup so that the next general election, Reform can go, guess what? We're going to get rid of council's legal responsibilities to do this because it would save all this money. Why? Because these are free market libertarians. They do not want the government providing any taxpayer money whatsoever to anyone or anything. As far as they are concerned, that's not a good thing. They want all that money to be staying in their rich pockets. Because as far as their ideology goes, a tax is like robbing them. Trust me, this is a very, very extreme ideology. We do not want these people in charge. This Doge audit is not going to find anything, not going to find anything at all. And when it does publish its report, I guarantee you it will be saying, yeah, we need to cut all these services, but oh, look, all these services are legally mandated by the government for councils to provide. Reform UK should get into power and then, get rid of that. And then you can make all these savings. Meanwhile, what are those services that they intend to cut? You saw Zia Yusuf got absolutely mauled recently on an interview by, I think it was one of the BBC reporters, basically saying, well, hold on for a second. What services are you going to cut? Because eventually what that really means is you are saying what services should the government no longer provide? And they are still terrified of that. That is what, if you are an interviewer, if you ever get the chance, ask them that question over and over. What should the government not provide? Because all these, quote, DEI savings, it's not going to save them a single penny. Like, it saves them, I think, something like 10 grand at best, which is nothing when you are talking about the huge numbers of, a country's national income and national debt and its spending. That is nothing. But they're expecting for like 100 grand or more from cutting all this DEI stuff. Yeah, so hopefully that's answered more the question, the why in this case. So yeah, good luck to all these things. And don't worry, we will be waiting in anticipation of what is going to come from this audit. But I'm expecting it to not find anything or be very, very biased about what it says it wants to do. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.